order， 还有刚刚讲到这个 RISC 这个 RMF 的这些 framework。那我想请问一下，就说在国内，我了解您在数位部这边是以 AI 评测来开始进行这个 AI 的一些这个等于推动可信任 AI 的一个步骤。那我想请问一下，您认为在这些方面，在国内有一些，当然我们希望跟国际接轨之外，有没有一些什么在国内特别需要注意的地方？那还有就是说，除了 AI 评测之外，我们还有一些什么样其他有没有一些法规或什么样的一些 effort 会是在哪些单位来进行？那还有就是说，在评测这边可能会包含什么样的项目跟这个产品的范围？好，
这一题我可以用资安院董事长的身份先回答一下资安的部分，然后再回到数位部的身份，特别是对公民参与以及开放资料开放原始码等等做2部分的回答。因为刚才讲者也都有提到 assurance 这个字assurance 这个字在 AI 系统这边是刚刚提到的，就是包含可解释透明等等的意思。但是到资安这边，它是组织的这个包含资讯的完整性、它的机密性、它的可用性，不要因为导入这个系统就被破坏掉了。所以同样叫 assurance， 其实是2个领域用的不太一样。那在资安院里面，我们是把这2个重叠的地方，就是它既要能够去照顾到这个 AI 系统本身，刚刚讲到的不知为不知透明可解释等等，但是另外一部分，特别在高度监管的事业里面，好比像说金融业里面，本来就有很多 security policy， 那这些呢应用 AI 怎么样强化，而不是又进一步弱化这些 security policy， 这个是很重要。所以关于这些行业，像金管会其实就抢先这个发布了金融业运用 AI 的核心原则，那现在也已经有一个金融业运用 AI 指引等等，就是要把这2边都保守住那这个部分，我想我们会进一步的去关注，不只是这部分商业已经造成一些社会上的一些困扰，所以这一部分我想资安院里面也有讯息防护的部分，这部分我们明年会特别加强去把就是生成式 AI 对于资讯完整性的威胁以及怎么因应也加到我们 evaluation 的部分里面，这个就是 evaluation on societal impact。那到数位部这边来的话，我们也很希望说，到底要有哪些评测项目，哪些对大家是重要的，不是只是专家的多方利害关系人说了算，而是可以直接去问大家。事实上，我们透过跟 CIP 这个组织联合，我们在台湾甚至在美国跟有统计代表性的1000人都已经问了大家对这些 AI 系统的忧虑是什么，跟专家未必是相同的像在美国，他们很在意的就是没有办法完全解释它运作原理的东西。我们如果对它上瘾了怎么办？如果拔不掉怎么办？对，那个无法自拔，这个就是之前他们在 social media 这件事情上已经有过一些教训，所以现在这个他们变成最在意的题目。那在台湾，我们也很高兴，就是这个也是一种 red teaming， 就是大家的疑虑，我们把它转化成红队的攻击性的问题，然后拿来给国科会的台德的这个团队，然后台德团队也跟我们说太抽象了，不知道这些大家收集出来意见这么抽象，我们要怎么 operationalize？ 那我们就再进一步扩大征询之后，再把它进行对齐，对齐之后再整合成一些非常具体的这些操作项目。那这样子的话，我想这种 collaborative red teaming 就是不是做出来之后，我们在下游再去做验测，而是在它还在甚至微调的过程里面，我们就不断的来一起 red team。那这一点也是我们觉得需要整个社会一起来做的，也就是在这个游戏实际上市之前，都会有封闭式测试、公众测试嘛等等这些部分。我想未来我们会鼓励更多的这种公众测试，让大家一起在开发的过程里就可以一起来对齐，包含让 AI 模型彼此互相辩论，我们来看它的辩论的那个品质等等，这些现在都有很多种半自动或全自动可以延展的对齐的做法，能够纳入大家的意见。
好，谢谢部长。So I'm going to follow up with one question for each of the other speakers. So first of all, Dr. Chen, thank you for sharing your insights on the global landscape on trustworthy AI. And given your unique position in both the, a kind of a bridging industry and academic, and also in international community. So we would like to know experience in collaborating with Taiwanese researchers. What do you see will be the more interesting areas where Taiwanese researchers can participate more actively and be able to contribute to trustworthy AI?
Thank you, Professor Xu. I think this is a great question, and you will be surprised at how many times I actually spend on thinking about those questions, given my deep connection to Taiwanese researchers. So I would say there are many ways I will answer this question. Right? So first of all, strategically, right? I think we should be, as the minister concept, we should be collaborating by joining the open source community to be collaboratively develop this technology together, right, with the researchers around the globe, right? For example, so there are basically two big camps, right, in today's AI technology right now. There's like a very closed system, right, like the ChatGPT, like Google Bard or Gemini, right, where they don't tell the details about their model. On the other hand, in the other spectrum, there are also a lot of open source efforts that we have been seeing, right? For example, Meta is taking the lead, right, and also some French companies and Mistral and so on, they are releasing state-of-the-art foundation models that are capable, right, perhaps similar performance to ChatGPT, and they open source everything and invite collaborators from the globe to join, right, and that includes red-teaming efforts, right, most of the time. So I think strategically, because right now the focus of this cutting-edge AI technology is still focusing on scalability, which means we still don't see a sign of saturation yet. That means as long as we have more data, or as long as we can have more GPUs, right, larger models, the performance, right, just seems to be continue to increase. Right? We don't see any sign of saturation yet. So the industry and also it's actually very focused on scalability right now. And although I think Taiwan has a lot of sufficient resources, I don't think we should be a competitor, right? Because to make a leader or make Taiwan ahead of the other competitors, if you want to build your own language model from scratch, that basically means we need to have a lot of resources, a lot like human resources, computing resources, a lot of investments, right, to collect those data, right, just to be in the game, right? So I don't think because of the focus on scalability, right, I don't think that Taiwan's research focus should be training a foundation model of our own, right? Rather, right, we should really piggyback on what's already out there, right? Like those leverage those foundation models. And foundation models eventually, right, it will evolve into like a multimodal, multilingual scenario, right? For example, if you look at the demo released by Google a few days ago, the Gemini, it's basically not even focusing on the language understanding part. That's pretty much being done by ChatGPT. Instead, Gemini actually contrasts itself with today's language model in terms of this multimodal ability, right? Like understanding videos, right, and can do predictions and speech processing and things like that, right? So multimodal is certainly the training part in most of the language model society right now. But I think eventually, right, to make these tools and technology really accessible to the world, multilingual, right, is pretty essential, right? You certainly don't want ChatGPT can only understand English but not other languages. And I think that is actually where Taiwan's expertise can come in, right? From the language model perspective, right? If you know, like for a fact that the pre-training data of this foundation model, I think most of them, more than 80% of them actually English, right? In addition to some like code programming languages, only a few data are actually from Chinese, right? So there is certainly a very large need, right, to take a language model pre-trained primarily on English data and see how you can incorporate like Chinese or other languages, right, in Asia, right, to make it more accessible and also more usable, right, for different countries in Asia, right? And also those models, right, we need to alignment with those models. We need to ensure those models are aligned with human social well-being, aligned with the values that we want to preserve, right? So So I think the agility and flexibility, right, of Taiwan's research expertise can really be very useful to play as a leader, right, just to enable these multilingual efforts in terms of alignment, right, but not in terms of pre-training a language model, right? And we can already leverage all those open source libraries and also language models online. And on the technology side, right, if you look upstream, right, so those foundation models are not possible without the support of the hardware and infrastructure, right? So Taiwan is very good in terms of these systems on chip and also manufacturing semiconductors and things like that, right? So the next thing we can all think about is how can we build the next generation materials or systems on circuits that are more language model friendly, that can run more efficiently, right? Or can compact or distill the model, right? So that we can deploy a ChatGPT on a cell phone, right? I think that's something. So given a sufficient, given a budget, like a budget of a watt, right? How do you maximize the density or maximize the efficiency of the technology? That's what Taiwan is very good at in terms of optimization. And also, we can play a very unique role in the supply chain of this AI technology, because this AI technology would not be possible without the inventions of hardware in terms of acceleration, in terms of training and things like that. So I think the next generation focus should be on how can you deploy those models efficiently and reliably, right, on a chip, right, and also how can we develop new materials or new circuits, right, new chips, right, that enable acceleration or in training and deployment of these language models. And also, how can we join the global efforts of alignment to make sure Taiwan side with the world's value, and also help, right, the language model, right, to be deployed quickly, right, to different languages.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Chen. So in fact, Taiwan is especially good in efficient deployment of many systems. So in fact, the TIDE model is running on a single PC nowadays. So hopefully we will be able to really meet your expectation. And my next question is for Associate Director Tabashi. Well, thank you for sharing a lot of the comprehensive plan from NIST, and in terms of the risk management framework. And we really appreciate that the US is taking the lead in defining such a comprehensive framework and releasing a roadmap as early as January. So my question to you is that given that the technology has changed so rapidly, has there been any unexpected, in terms of following the roadmap? Is there any deviation from the original plan? And also, I understand that the U.S. Of course, take a strong stance in supporting trustworthy AI, but there are certain areas U.S. may not be totally aligned with the EU position. Do you think what would be the major things that you need to work out so that we can reach a global consensus? Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. Your first question that I rephrase it so I can address that AI risk management framework came out in January. ChatGPT 4 came out in February. So is ARRMF still applicable to ChatGPT 4? To that, I will say the short answer is yes, and the longer answer is that the ChatGPT 3 had came out in November, and a lot of the other generative AI large language models have came out a year before. So one of the reasons that we updated the definition in AI system from the OECD document to what you saw on the screen was to ensure and assure that the definition of AI system would be applicable to what we know at that time and called them large language models. And as you I'm pretty sure you know, EU Parliament asked OECD to work on the updating their definition of AI systems for the same reason, so that it's applicable to generative AI systems. And what OECD came up with is very close to, with some wordsmithing, is very close to what we have in ARRMF. So that was on AI definition, but AI system definition, one of the first things we did right after the ChatGPT came out is start having a series of conversations with experts in the community, specifically asking the question that you asked. Is the material in AI RMF, the way the trustworthiness is defined, the approach for risk management applicable to generative AI? So one of the conversations that we had, for example, was with Kush at IBM, and by the way, the recording of those conversations is also on our website. And what we heard from the experts, let me just go and say, I mentioned Kush's name, and I don't want to just single out Kush, but we also had experts from, for example, Anthropic and the entities that are building these models. And what we heard is the AI RMF is applicable, but let's, or I should say, let's develop a cross-sectoral profile of AI RMF for generative AI, which, by the way, we had also envisioned it as one of the profiles if you look at the of AI RMF. To that end, we launched a generative AI public working group where we basically ask anybody who wants to come and help development of the profile, and we narrowed instead of working on developing the full profile, we narrowed down on 4 sets of guidelines. Pre-deployment verifications, of course, red teaming is the most fashionable, most popular methods, but we're hoping that there will be other methods still, because while red teaming is the best we can do now, all of us also know about its limitations. Another set of guidelines, again, on the synthetic content provenance, synthetic content authentications, or provenance of the content, because large language models scrap the web, and if the web get filled with synthetic data and maybe wrong data, then we are not in a good position. Another set of guidelines on incident disclosure, because we're learning from the fields such as cybersecurity, but we know how important it is to share the vulnerabilities, the errors, the incidents, to have a better, more informed risk management process. And because we think that governance is very important, we also pick the governance functions. Those guidelines, again, we were very honored and humbled with the responses that we got. 2,500 volunteers signed up. We stood up Slack channels. We worked with the community. The Slack channels are going to be closed end of this coming week on December 15th, because we basically got enough information drafting the guidelines, and all of them will be the sort of base draft for a cross-sectoral profile of the AI RMF that the EO has asked. So that was the long answer to your first question. Having said that, I think this type of things, that checking with the community, making sure of the applicability of the guidance that we put out based on the advances in the technology, is something that we are very cognizant of and very determined to. And you saw that the stuff on the roadmap are very high level in terms of advanced tech, and I think that's what has become the major effort and major challenge that we're going to answer. Quickly, I'm responding to your next point. I think there is differences in how each side of the pond define its risk-based approach. In AR RMF, there is a lot of emphasis on the context, on the fact that the risk management, risk assessment should be proportional to the impact, the consequence of and the impacts that the AI systems can have on the people and planet. We don't believe in, and also the other thing about AI RMF is that they are outcome focused. So we don't believe in prescriptive methods. We think that they can be very limited and be very soon outdated by the pace of the technology. And we also don't think that we can have all priority decisions of this applications or this technology is high risk or low risk. So again, the example of the face recognition, the risk is really depends on the context of use, and that's different. That's another differentiation there. Having said all of these things, we have been working with our EU colleagues as part of the Trade and Technology Council dialogue. We have been working on advancing terminology, making sure that we are all on the same page when we are using the word risk, for example, because our definition is slightly different. Another working group is working on advancing standards, because at the end, I think having international standards on how to define and measure the trustworthiness can bring more alignment between approaches.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, I think it is quite obvious that all the panelists do agree that we share certain common values, and it is important for us to work toward a global standard. And we are very happy to see Taiwan is definitely part of the team. So in the interest of time, I would like to ask each panelist to give a very short body in the audience.
Yeah, so and since you're asking English, I'll answer in English. I think there's nothing impacting the people without people's involvement that we can sustain for long. That is to say, in liberal democracies, I think people have a very strong ethics of nothing about us without us. And so my one sentence recommendation looking forward to next year is just to democratize alignment and evaluation, making sure everyone, not just me who run Taida right at 20 tokens per second on my laptop and fine-tuning on my emails and so on, but everybody understand how and why of doing so. And the call to action, therefore, is to encourage all of you to learn about alignment and evaluation. Unlike other technologies where you need a lot of very expensive equipment for constitutional AI, you just need a text editor. So look up on that, and perhaps we can join each other in the next alignment assemblies.
Oh, thank you. Dr. Chen?
Yeah, my one sentence will be, definitely you should use those technology, right? But also, use them with a grain of salt, right? So what we have seen is that those models are great, right? But certainly don't trust them too much, especially don't think those models or agents are something smarter than you, right? And you trust them without any reservation. Right? For example, I believe Mr. Tang didn't just ask ChatGPT to write emails and send them without checking what is being wrote, right? But in fact, a lot of people are actually using that, right, as a surrogate. Like, okay, I just basically defer all my tasks to ChatGPT, and that will accomplish all my tasks that I'm supposed to do. That is very dangerous for us because there's no trust in the process, and there's no inspection about what ChatGPT is doing. Most of the time, you are actually getting things, doing things in the wrong way. Right? So definitely use those technology, but with a grain of salt.
Thank you. And Associate Director Tomasi?
So coming and belonging to a measurement science agency, I would say measurement and evaluation is where we heard about this. We don't know how to evaluate AI systems from a socio-technical approach. And I want to just emphasize that again, the importance of being
good to see that Taiwan is really joining the global community on working to align the values in democracy and helpfulness and harmless. Okay, and so with that, I do hope that everybody got some interesting insights home, and thank you for coming to the panel today. Yeah. And let's have applause for all the panelists. Okay, yeah.
Thanks to the moderator and all the panelists. And for this wonderful moment, I think we should take a group photo. So right now, please put it up and move your chair to here.